Sumerians were the oldest inhabitants of the northern Mesopotamia. It was an agricultural nation that was not Aryan nor Semitic. Their origins remain a mystery. They had invented writing and created a considerably advanced civilization which became the basis for the later development of the Akkadian, Assyrian, and Babylonian civilization in the region. The paradise myth of Enki and Ilkursag has many parallels with the figure of the tree in the Bible paradise narration. The story takes place in the moon, a pure paradise, where there is no sickness or death, and, I quote, "The lion kills not, and the wolf snatches not the lamb." Enki, the god of the wisdom and the sweet waters that brings life to the land, eats some plants that belong to the goddess Ilkursag, the mother of the earth, in order to know their secret substances. Then he falls sick, when Ilkursag curses him that she will no longer look at him with the eye of life because he ate the plant she was responsible for. The similarities here with the tree of life, particularly in Genesis 3:22-24, are obvious. Ilkursag possesses some plants which Enki Brasil eats. He eats them in order to know their secret substances, so these plants can easily make us to think of the tree of knowledge. Ilkursag then disgraces Enki by not allowing him anymore to enjoy the honorable of immortality, in the same way that Yahweh forbids man to eat from the tree of life and taste perhaps an immortal life. In the Sumerian myth, though, Enki is forgiven afterwards, that Adam and Eve are banished. Of course, the paradise myth of Enki and Ilkursag is very ambiguous, and it doesn't seem to have moral principles to indoctrinate, while the biblical story refers more clearly to God's relationship with man, to obedience, and obviously has moral principles to indoctrinate. Another close parallel to the tree of life in the paradise story is the famous plant which Gilgamesh grabbed from the deep. There are 5 Sumerian texts about Gilgamesh's story. They all have references to weird plants and trees with special qualities like their rejuvenation. The story tells us that Gilgamesh, broken-hearted by the death of his loyal friend Enkidu, begins his quest to find a magical plant which would renew his youth. After many hardships, he crosses the Cedar Mountain and meets the wise antediluvian Upnadistin. The wise man informs him about the magical life-renewing plant at the bottom of the sea and says, I quote, "If thy hands obtain the plant, thou wilt find new life." Gilgamesh does a bit of deep-sea diving, secures the plant, and tells Ur-Sanada, his boatman, that its name is, I quote, "The old man becomes young man. Then I will eat it and return to the condition of my youth," says Gilgamesh. But his plants are thwarted by a serpent that steals the plant while Gilgamesh is taking a bath. The serpent, after eating the plant, sloughs off its casing, a fact that attests the life-renewing properties of the plant. However, there are some differences with the tree of life in paradise story of Genesis. Gilgamesh's plant grew deep underwater, not in a garden or land. It was a plant, not a tree, and the eating provided a single rejuvenation, not immortality. Ronald Binger has an interesting view about the nature of the obscure plant Gilgamesh found. He suggests that it informs us about the extraordinary longevity of the antediluvians. According to the Sumerian king list, before the flood, there were people like Ubartutu in Shurpak who lived for 18,600 years, or Enmenlu Anna in Batibira, who lived for 43,200 years. Before them, the longevity of biblical Methuselah, who lived for 969 years, pales to insignificance as he points. So the wise antediluvian Upnadistin reveals to Gilgamesh that the plant is growing deep beneath the water. Are these the waters that bring food? Well, Binger finds it quite probable, since Upnadistin, who remembers the earth before the flood waters came, is the only one who can tell Gilgamesh where to dive for the plant. So the antediluvian kings, and probably all men, had access to such plants of rejuvenation before the gods conceived them under the waters of the flood. In the fourth of these 5 Sumerian texts of the Gilgamesh epic, we read about the Kuluk tree, which was planted on the banks of the Euphrates. After the south wind tore it, Inanna, the queen of heaven, took the tree in her hand and brought it to her holy garden in Erech, where she tended it with the greatest care. When the tree grew big, she planned to make the chair and the couch of the throne, but she couldn't cut the tree because it was guarded by a powerful snake. Gilgamesh finally exorcised the creature and cut the tree for Inanna. So she made two wooden mountains, the pupu and the miku, probably a ritual drum and a drumstick respectively. For some reason though, these objects fell into netherworld, and the deceased loyal friend of Gilgamesh and Enkidu brought them back to the servants. In a drawing after a Sumerian civilization of the Third Ur period, circa 2150 BC, found at Nippur, the Akkadian Nippur, we see Inanna beside another sacred tree. She bestows symbols of rulership to a king who pours out water into a pot containing perhaps a sibling date palm with two clusters of dates. Two gods with horn helmets observe the coronation. To the viewer's left is a tall tree, probably a cedar. According to a myth, Inanna descends to the earth from heaven to acquire knowledge by eating of various herbs and trees. One of the trees of knowledge she eats of is stated to be a cedar, which can easily be associated with the huluku tree mentioned above, and the resemblance at this point with the tree of knowledge in Genesis is out of question.